King Muchakunda offered his prayers to Lord Krishna after Krishna is very expert in one activity, getting many different desired results from that one thing. So he brought Muchakunda had gotten a benediction many, many years ago after fighting very valiantly at the request of the demigods, even to the point that he went to the heavenly planets and forgot his earthly activities, and all of it, his wives, his children, his ministers, his soldiers, all passed away in the course of time. But no, yes, well, actually, he didn't want. He just did it selflessly, and they offered him a benediction. What was the benediction? I'm very, very tired. All the limbs of my body are completely slack, and they can't work, and I'm completely exhausted. I simply want to take rest, and I don't want to be disturbed. And why did he think of this benediction? Would you think of this? And if anybody wakes me untimely, simply by my glance, I want them to burn to ashes. What a wonderful thing. It almost puts him in the category of Vrikasura. I cut my flesh to please flesh. I want a benediction, and anyone's head I touch with my hand will crack into a million pieces. So yes, you get the benediction. And so Kalayavana, one of the demons who was after Krishna, was chasing Krishna, and Krishna led him into the cave where Muchakunda was sleeping. And Kalayavana as a demon. Demons we should always remember, even though they're very intelligent to make nefarious plans, at the core of everything they're very, very stupid. So he thought that the sleeping man was Krishna. And he kicked him very strongly. And he woke up and he became very angry. Yes. So then Krishna came before him. He offered very nice prayers. And he understood that everyone is suffering in this material world under the illusion of bodily identification, completely forgetting who they are, what the value of human life is, what they should be doing, etc., etc. So the point is that suffering is to not have information of Krishna consciousness, and even worse than that is when the pure representation and the opportunity to take the Krishna consciousness is placed right in front of your face, you refuse it. And even worse than that is that you have a very negative reaction. So imagine everybody suffering. Now here we're seeing human beings. How about the suffering of the animal species all living in and all over the universe, and unlimited universes, all of the suffering of the fallen conditioned souls? That doesn't even equal a fraction of the pain, transcendental feelings of separation that the residents of Vrindavan, especially Srimati Radharani and her close associates, feel in separation from Krishna. So try to understand the parallel. That we're trying to reunite the Jivatma, bring them out of the Mahamaya into the Daivi Prakriti, into the jurisdiction of Srimati Radharani's independent love plan, which we know will make them happy. Again and again, Prabhupada is writing, without Krishna consciousness, one cannot be happy. One must be completely convinced of this and preach this to the general population. So, this tune that we're singing, Indra introduced me, it's one of my favorites. This is a particular time of day tune that when we hear how when Krishna and Balaram, they come back from the pasturing grounds, at the end of the day, all the residents of Vrindavan are very, very happy. Especially Srimati Radharani and the gopis. I think there's an old kind of pop song. Hey, you got that? That's a Beatles song. You got to hide your love away, right? So the coward boys, they don't have to hide their love away. Mother Yashoda certainly doesn't have to hide her love away. But the gopis, especially the Bharatiya Ras, they do. But that, of course, is for heightening Krishna's enjoyment even more. That's a different, a very deep truth and tattva which we won't elaborate here in this situation. So anyway, and also within that, Prabhupada gave a parallel that nothing can ever remain unknown to pure devotees. And he gave the analogy in the chapter Rupa Goswami's meeting with Lord Chaitanya at Jagannath Puri in the beginning of the Antya Leela, that pure devotees could see the hand of Krishna through the dust storm of the modes of material nature in the material world. They're never out of touch. So just like the gopis, they see Krishna, they know that the haze created by the dust from all the cows coming back at dusk, it's getting dark, and the dust also, they can see Krishna very clearly, and it's actually a source of great happiness. So we can more and more deepen in our seva of propagating Harinam Sankirtan and understand things like that simultaneously. The pure devotees, they're propagating Krishna consciousness in the material world, and simultaneously they're in Goloka Vrindavan. We chant of the spiritual master that he's always making tasteful arrangements for the conjugal loving affairs of Radha and Krishna in the groves of Vrindavan. All the while he's in this material world. Look at Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada writes a purport in the first, fifth canto, at the beginning of the residents of Jambudweep offer prayers. And he says that one should not, because Krishna is in charge of all energies, he has his hand in everything, one should not think that one's dealings with the material world are separate from Krishna consciousness. As long as one's following the principles in chanting, Prabhupada doesn't say a minimum, it just says 16 rounds. So what to speak if you chant more? What to speak if you're doing this? Those are being certain. But one's, so many books sold, properties, counting money, so many things, management. Doing these things intelligently and very carefully and properly is not, what to speak of not being outside the purview of Krishna consciousness, is not different than the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. But that has to be done simultaneously, just like the Acharya does. The Acharya is training us to also have that ability. Many devotees, okay, I'm very busily engaged with things in this world, but they lose the taste, they lose the vision, they lose ultimately their Krishna consciousness. And so if everything is always done for Krishna's pleasure, offered to Krishna, then there's no danger of fall down or deviation. But we have to be very careful, because the nature of the material world is to deviate and is to fall down. So the more that we're dealing with the purest elements available to us in this material world, in this material body, in which the holy name is the purest of the pure everywhere, in all realms, and ultimately the purest form of expression of love, even in Goloka Vrindavan, then we're very, very safe. Hare Krishna.